I'm Brittany Lewis with Forbes Breaking News. On Monday, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis spoke to the airport's council conference in Orlando. Touting his record during the COVID-19 pandemic, DeSantis slammed lockdowns and promoted his opposition to federal coronavirus guidelines, repeating a frequent refrain in his bid for re-election. DeSantis, a leading 2024 presidential contender who consistently runs second to former President Trump for his party's nomination, routinely contrasts his actions to those of California Governor Gavin Newsom and New York Governors Cuomo and Hochul, and consistently criticizes Dr. Anthony Fauci.
To make a difference, and so we're going to keep doing that. And if you look at our situation, our fiscal situation, when COVID hit, people were predicting massive hemorrhaging of tax dollars, massive economic collapse potentially. And it's not like Florida was the only one people were talking about it, but because we are so dependent on hospitality and leisure and travel, people just assume, well, that's going to be dead, and Florida is not going to be able, maybe even to pay the bills. They're going to have a massive shortfall. They're going to have to make some really, really difficult decisions. And early on, we weren't sure what was going to happen. We weren't sure what the appetite would be for people to be traveling. And yes, we wanted to make sure that all those industries were able to function. I mean, I remember making sure we worked to get the theme parks open very quickly. I think May in 2020, Universal, SeaWorld, all them started, and they were closed in California for like over a year. So we had that. So we were sensitive to do what we could to keep things going. But there was a lot of uncertainty and a lot of doom and gloom out there. And not only did we not end up with a shortfall, here today, just finishing fiscal year 21-22, Florida has by far the largest budget surplus that we've ever had in the history of the state of Florida, and it's not even close. And so that was because we wanted to make sure we were protecting jobs and businesses and education for kids and the whole 9 yards. But we don't have an income tax, of course. We did big tax relief package all these years. And yet you still have this big surplus, and a lot of it is just because we have a lot of underlying economic activity. You have things like these real estate transactions produce different revenue coming in, and so it's been really, really hot. Now, we're now staring down the barrels. I mean, they always said 2 consecutive negative quarters was a recession. Now, they have to run interference, and so they're saying it's not really, or maybe not, or this or that. I don't know. I don't need Orwellian doublespeak. Just tell me the truth, what the data says. And I think the data is telling us that because you've had the inflation, because you've had a lot of problems with energy prices and commodity prices going up, you've had the Fed come in, they've been raising interest rates. Of course that's going to slow down the economy. So we're looking at a situation where we could be in a situation of a downturn with inflation still be persistently high. And we haven't had that since the 1970s when they had the stagflation. So in Florida, fortunately, we're not immune to the inflation, we're not immune to the energy prices, although I did see gas under $4 for the first time in a long time, just when I was driving over. But we're not going to be immune to that. But in terms of the underlying dynamics of our state policy and everything we're doing, still a lot of demand in Florida to be here, to visit here. So my goal is we're going to have to get through this period. And I don't know, they're now talking about taxing and spending even more in Washington. Why you would raise taxes on the cusp of a recession or when you're in recession, someone's going to have to explain that to me, because that's not good fiscal policy. And then to print more money when that's part of the reason we're in this mess to begin with, just boggles the mind. But nevertheless, I don't think very many of us are expecting Washington to get very many big things right. They don't have a very good track record, certainly in recent years. So we'll deal with it how it comes, but we have a big surplus. I think the surplus is so big that if we do see a slowdown in the state of Florida and revenues don't match expectations, and I'm not saying that's going to happen, but if that did happen, the infrastructure, education, things we've done for conservation, law enforcement, all these really, really important things, we're not going to miss a beat. Worst case, I'll just pick some of the money from the stash and I'll put it over and we'll keep on going just like we were prior to that. And so that's what good planning is. We are going to be announcing some initiatives for the next legislative session. We are going to do even more for infrastructure in the state of Florida. We're happy that we've had a robust work program for the Department of Transportation, and we worked very hard on that when COVID hit and a lot of these businesses were having their employees work from home. You saw traffic on the roads really go down dramatically. So Kevin Tebow and I said, what can we do? He said, let's get some of these projects moving quicker. I-4, we'd be able to close more lanes. We would be able to get that done quicker. In Tampa, you had the same thing. So we took advantage of that from an infrastructure perspective, but at the same time, we've got a lot of needs. When the state is growing, you just have to do whatever you can to keep up with that. I think our goal is always to stay ahead of it, but man, when the demand pops, the demand pops. So we're going to be working on things, yes, airports, but also we're going to be working on surface transportation, and particularly in areas where there's a really, really acute need. We have enough resources where, yes, we're going to have the work program, but we're also going to be able to take from a lot of the resources that have been built up and make some really targeted investments that hopefully will have maximum value. And that means everything from being able to move goods easier in the state of Florida, and then to avoid sitting in traffic. I mean, I'd always tell Kevin, I was just like, I just want less traffic. So it's like, I'll put the money in, we just need less traffic. The problem is, I mean, you go from here to Tampa, you could end up in standstill traffic at any point on I-4. And so we want to figure out ways, what can we do to put some resources into that, or some other things that are going to really make a difference for people, because it does impact the overall economy with logistics, but it impacts people's individual productivity, happiness, the ability to spend time with their family. So we're working on a lot of great stuff in that regard, so you can definitely expect that we'll do more. We're also going to continue to do more with the airports. I think that this is, in terms of infrastructure, that really, really has a high return. These are some of the best investments that we can make. Same thing with our ports. And so we're all in on that. And because Florida has been open, because Florida has excelled economically, we're in the position where we're going to be able to meet those needs of the state, regardless of what Uncle Joe throws at us from Washington, D.C. And but I just want to thank everybody for what you're doing and the role you play in Florida's economy, be able to keep people employed, and the role you play in bringing more and more people into the state of Florida who are able to enjoy themselves really probably like never before. And it's not just coming to this part of the state, which has been a big draw for a long time. And I remember going to the Panhandle summer of 2020. I don't know that there were very many people in America where you could go and you wouldn't know that COVID was going on at the time. Well, Panhandle was one of them. So you got people pouring in there to visit. You go down to Southwest Florida. I mean, it's boomed. Of course, Miami is drawing so many people to want to go work and invest and live. So we've got a lot going for us, but it does require that we continue to be very strong on infrastructure. So you have my commitment to doing that. As long as I'm the governor, that's going to be one of our top priorities. So thank you for having me. God bless everyone, and God bless this great state. We are lucky to live in the free state of Florida. Thank you.
Somebody move my notes, but anyhow. Governor, if you could come over here,
Okay.
please. So Governor, I'm going to meet back because they hear me.
Okay.
Can't hear me over there. So Governor, so last year, you were a very busy guy, helped keeping our state open, and we really appreciate your leadership. And our whole FAC membership has awarded you our Leadership Award for all your great leadership for the state of Florida. So we want to take this opportunity to now present you this award.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Very nice.
And one more thing, Governor, this morning, I took the opportunity as the FAC chair to present a challenge coin to recognize all of our members of the United States Marine Service, and we want to give you a coin for your naval service as well.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.